I'm in a good mood. Do you know why I'm in a good mood? I'll give you a hint. I'll give you one hint. Oh, I gotta fix that. The Jaguars, as my camera keeps doing things I don't want to do. My Jaguars upset the Dallas Cowboys today, 40-34 in overtime on a pick six, and it was glorious. Ah, was it glorious, man? I will tell you what. I'll be honest with you. I enjoy being wrong because, to be frank, I didn't think the Jags stood much of a chance in this game. I thought the Cowboys were a really good team. I thought last week was a bit of a fluke. Houston, again, showed that they're capable of playing with teams that they shouldn't. Again today with the... dude, what the fuck, camera? Sorry. Houston showed they were very capable of playing with teams when they want to. As they took Kansas City to overtime today. Lost, ultimately. They still lost. But the Jags, I thought the Cowboys were going to win this game. I was just hoping the Jags kept it close, was kept it in there. And here we are, a couple hours later, and I'm doing a video on the Jags winning against the Cowboys. And what a significant victory this is. Let's start with number one. This ended a NFL record 20-game losing streak out of the conference. No other team has ever had that type of disaster. And that's the thing with the Jags. They have a lot of records and futility, especially in the last decade, 2 decades of football they've been playing. But there's points today where it didn't look like the Jags were going to even stay in it. The Cowboys took a 21-7 lead at halftime. At one point, going up all the way to 27-10 midway through the third quarter. And then the Jags D really, outside one drive, really stepped it up, and the Jags made the Cowboys pay. There was some interesting moments, but Trevor Lawrence, 318 yards, 4 touchdown passes. Looking like the franchise quarterback that obviously I predicted, right, a few weeks ago. Ugh, man, is that looking bad. I'm not going to delete that video, though, because you know what? I'm willing to accept what happened, and I'm perfectly fine with being wrong. But beyond that, I'm so... But, the 20-game losing streak out of the conference to the NFC, the another comeback, which, is a bit of a Jaguar MO, right? This year somewhat. We'd like to play a whole half of football at some point, or a whole game of football instead of just one half. But you know what? I'm pretty much okay with winning in the way we did, because ultimately that's what it was. It was a victory. One negative that I'm going to point out right away, though, and it's actually 2 negatives. Etienne's fumble issue is starting to become concerning, as he fumbled again today. It was a loss. It was recovered by Dallas, but fumble recoveries can be a bit wonky sometimes. But that is his 5th fumble of the season. I think now we're getting into, okay, that's a little concerning. You want him to be able to be a little bit more secure running the football. Obviously, as the number 1 back. Stat-wise, he was really, really good. Other than that, having 103 yards on 19 carries. Jamal Agnew also had 52 on 3. The Jags really ran the ball well today. 27 carries for 192 yards and 7.1 yards per carry. They look good doing it, but they also look good passing the ball too, as I said. 318 total yards by Trevor Lawrence, including 109 on 6 receptions. Zay Jones. Christian Kirk chipped in with 6 for 92. And I believe that puts him. Oh, maybe not. He gets him real close to that 1,000-yard mark. I think he's still 100 and somewhat yards away, assuming this is updated. Even if it's not, that's whatever. Zay Jones, though, looking. He's been better than I expected. I know they signed him to a big deal, so you hope that, but for the most part, he's been pretty damn good and pretty damn important in a lot of the wins. But yeah, 3 touchdown game to go along with his 102 yards, 109 yards. Holy shit. Just absolutely incredible performance by the offense. Evan Ingram making one of the best plays, one of the best not giving up plays you ever see on the game tying drive at the end of regulation, getting out of bounds where they foolishly called it inbounds, which was unbelievable. Even live, I'm like, I think he got out. But I was, a Jags fan, so bias was there, but it ended up turning out that he was, and they reviewed it and said, yes, he was out of bounds. And that really did save the Jags, although there was a couple issues on that final drive, but hey, you know what? We're going to leave them go. The other issue, and it's still...
I'm back.
I don't want to harp on this every week, especially when the Jags are winning, but you can't keep winning this way. The Cowboys' third down efficiency was incredible in this game. 9 for 16. Although the Jags were better, they were 8 for 12 in this game. Holy shit. But defensively, they get the stops they could. They got 2 turnovers, obviously the second one late in the game, in overtime to win it on the pick 6. But it was not the best game ever, but it was not the worst. The Jags made a lot of mistakes in this game. They really did. They turned the ball over 3 times, but the Jags offensively had 503 yards of offense against the vaunted Dallas Cowboy defense. And I say that and it sounds sarcastically, but I'm going to be honest with you, that's not sarcastic because the Dallas defense coming into this is pretty damn good. No team really made them look this bad that the Jaguars made, with the exception of the 2 turnovers. The Cowboys, you could make the case, hey, they had 154 yards rushing, but that was on 41 attempts. That's only a 3.8 carry. I will take that all day. If you're going to rush the ball 41 times, you're only going to get 154 yards. Fine by me. That was Ezekiel Elliott's 16 for 58. Pollard was 19 for 75. It's not great averages, obviously. CeeDee Lamb burned the Jags a bit with 7 for 126. Noah Brown had 2 TDs. Peyton Hendershot had just 1 reception, but had another touchdown. Marvin Jones also had a touchdown for the Jags. But nearly gave up 400 yards of offense. Not surprising. The penalties weren't bad. Only 4 today for the Jags of 37 yards. But again, the turnovers. When I saw that, even with the Jags coming back, in my mind, I thought that was going to be too much. I thought, I don't know if the Jags are good enough to recover from 3 turnovers yet against a team that has Super Bowl aspirations as the Cowboys do. Hey, Onyx, how you doing? Welcome. What did you? Hey, how you doing, buddy? Oh, you got a rubber band. This is Onyx, by the way. He's rarely on camera. He doesn't realize I'm recording right now. He's looking at something else. I don't know if you heard his little, but no. But man, this is such a huge victory. Circling back to that, obviously it breaks that unbelievable losing streak to the NFC, which is just shouldn't be possible, but it is. But it really, that was a game that I said, okay, that's the only game we can afford to lose if we're going to make a real run at the division. Because the Titans got kind of a difficult schedule, and the Jags still have to make up a game to make Week 18 against the Titans a AFC South championship game. So they can't. If you lose this game, you got to hope for the Titans to lose 2 of their last 3, or last 4, which is possible. And the Titans have been free falling a bit. They're tied at 7 right now, but we'll see what happens. And they got the Cowboys next week. So if they lose this game against the Chargers and then lose next week as well, I was thinking, Jags win out and get to against the Jets in Houston, get to that Tennessee game just 1 game back. Like, they already beat Tennessee once. You win that last game, The Jags in the playoffs. But then the Jags win today and beat a good team. They've done this all year. Most of their wins have been against good teams, and it's kind of incredible what they've done this year. The Colts were bad, the Raiders are bad, but they've beaten the Titans, the Cowboys, the Ravens, and the Chargers, and the Chargers game was a blowout. 4 of their 6 wins against teams that have very, very good chances of making the playoffs. That ain't bad. That ain't bad, let me tell you what. But now going forward, Trevor Lawrence is looking hot. I still think the defense can play better. I still think that there's issues there, especially on third down defense. I've been harping on that all year, and it just doesn't really seem like it's getting better. We're not making enough stops for my liking. We're not going to score 40 every week. Cowboys did score 34, which is great for Cowboys. Which is great that we can win by giving up 34, but I'd rather not do that if we don't have to. And also giving up 3 turnovers doesn't help either. This is a game the Jags shouldn't win. This is the game the Jags wouldn't win most years. But on top of that, is the good part of that is the Jags just won a game where they probably shouldn't have won. They were playing a good team, a Super Bowl caliber team to a lot of people, especially in a weakened NFC, and they turned the ball over 3 times. And they gave up 34 points. You told me the Jags won that game, I wouldn't believe you. Told me Tom Brady wins that game, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. It's not fucking Brady. But the Jags? Trevor Lawrence, man. I don't know. Apparently you watched my video and said, you know what, that Chris Dunk guy, fuck that dude. Fuck that dude. That obviously didn't happen, but I'm happy to be wrong. I said a while back, I said, and I'll take my mea culpa with it, that I said the Jags need to have that discussion because Trevor didn't play well in mid-season. He was pretty bad with a lot of turnovers. And I said, now it's time to start valuing. You don't necessarily make the change going into next year, but you start having that discussion if he's the guy. Well, I think we can put that discussion to rest. Even though no matter what happens the rest of the season, he could struggle the rest of the way. And at this point, I'm like, okay, but we've seen enough. Even if the Jags don't make the playoffs, even if they lose out at this point. I'd like them to beat Houston, please. Let's end that losing streak. Since we're in the era of ending long losing streaks, let's beat fucking Houston for a change. We haven't beat them since 2017. That's too damn long on an organization that has been terrible. We ended the long losing streak to Tennessee. We ended the long losing streak on the road, and we ended the long losing streak against NFC opponents. There's one more to stop. Let's do it. Speaking of which, look, the final 3 games aren't daunting for the Jags. You got a Jets team that's good defensively. I think it's going to be, a struggle to move the ball for the Jags. But the Jets don't have the offense if Mike White doesn't play. And the likelihood's slim because it's a Thursday night game. Mike White doesn't play, and, you get yourself Zach Wilson, who's not really been good. That should be a win for the Jags. It's going to be a tough game. It's on the road. And then they travel to Houston, who, again, I've talked about earlier. They should have beat the Cowboys, and they had a great chance of beating the Chiefs today. That's 2 really, really good teams that Houston has stayed with lately, even though it looked like they were just collapsing down the stretch. But now you got to execute. Here on out, you got two road games left, and you have a home game against Tennessee. If the Jags win out, they have a great chance of winning the division at this point. Tennessee's been pretty bad lately. No, if Tennessee wins out, then Tennessee wins out. It is what it is. But even still, you went out and go 9-8. That has a chance at the playoffs right now, which would not have guessed that at the start of the season. I would have thought at least 10 victories would have been needed for the Jags to make the playoffs. But here we are. We're not. Jags are out of it. Current playoff standings as of this point when I'm talking, and there's the 4 p.m. games are currently playing, including against the Chargers. The Jags are 6-8. If the Patriots and Chargers both lose, the problem with that is the Chargers would then lose to Tennessee, so the Jags' divisional hopes would take a hit. So who do I root for? So that's the tough part, right? If the Chargers lose, then the Titans stay 2 games ahead of the Jags, and it becomes a lot harder for the Jags to win the division. Titans lose, then the Jags get 1 game back at Tennessee, and then the Jags just have to take care of business the rest of the way. But if the Patriots and Chargers both lose, and Patriots are down, although they're making a bit of a comeback as we go to the 4th quarter there, then the Jags only suddenly, the Jags, along with the Browns and Steelers, are all 1 game back of the final wild card. Miami's lost 3 straight. New England's iffy. The Chargers are a crazy up and down team, and the Jets seem to be free falling as well. I'm not saying it's likely, but I'm saying there's a chance through both doors, which I would not have guessed a few weeks ago. I said maybe the division of Tennessee collapses, and here we are. Is it do I believe the Jags will make the playoffs? Probably not, but do I believe more in this week now than I did even last week? Yeah. Or even when they destroyed the Titans? Yeah, I believe a lot more now, but it's what's the percentage? 30% at this point compared to even 15 last week, probably, doubled, but still unlikely, and I acknowledge that it's unlikely. But the reality is it is there, and we have to acknowledge that reality, whether we want to or not. Going forward, either way, at this point, no matter what happens the rest of the season, and hopefully we don't go on a 3-game losing streak, because that would suck. But the questions have been answered. We know going into next season what we need to fix. The defense still needs to be fixed. Trayvon Walker didn't play today. The Jags once again gave up a ton of points, a ton of third downs. The usual shtick. It is what it is. But let me see what we did get 3 sacks today on Dak Prescott. That was good. Josh Allen had 1. Arden Key had 1.5, and Fatukasi had a half as well. So that's good. Rashawn Jenkins had 2 interceptions today. I forgot he had 2, and then obviously the one that he returned for the game-winning TD in overtime. So we got some sacks. Not great on third downs. Again, that's still something that makes the Jaguars not really a true threat in any way, shape, or form. Come playoff time, but making the playoffs would be a tremendous win. As the Jags at this point seem locked in to the 2nd place in the AFC South with their 6th victory. I know the Colts are a game and a half, I guess, would be at this point. Because of the tie back, but if the Colts win another game this year, I would be surprised with their last 2 games. What was the saying, being an abstract disaster? I did a video on the Colts collapse last night. So the Jags looking like they're locking in at least the 2nd place in their division, would be the first time in a while. But I'm going to get off of here. Go Jags. Until next time, deuces. What timing? Konnichiwa.